A vampire who hates the sunlight and who can only sleep in a coffin. He drinks blood and believes in Satan. Together, Manuela and Daniel Ruder are on trial in Germany for an horrific murder. The couple have admitted killing their friend Frank Hockerts, but told the court they were simply following orders from the devil. The case has triggered reports of a huge increase in devil worship in Europe. Justin Rolat reports now from Germany.
There's nothing out of the ordinary about Witten, a small town in Germany's industrial heartlands. Yet according to this woman, Manuela Ruder, and her husband Daniel, Witten was visited by Satan last year. They claim that Satan forced them to offer a colleague of Daniel Ruder's, Frank Hockerts, up as a human sacrifice. It was a particularly gruesome killing. One night the Ruders invited Hockerts back to their flat. The police photographed the scene. Here, Frank Hockerts was hit over the head with a hammer, was stabbed 66 times, and a pentagram was carved into his chest. The Ruders then drank his blood and slept together in a coffin they kept at the flat. Neither Daniel or Manuela have shown any remorse for their terrible crime.
They say it was not our will, it was Satan's will. And we have done something good for Frank. Frank is now in hell, he is beside Satan, it's the best place.
Inevitably, this case has received a lot of publicity, not just in Germany, but around the world. There's been speculation about a huge increase in satanic worship in Europe. One widely quoted report claims there are 7,000 Satanists in Germany alone. The real story, however, appears to be much more prosaic.
Each day in court, the Ruders pose before the cameras and before the victim's family.
At the beginning, I didn't want to go to the trial, but now I'm glad that we sat eye to eye. Now I understand that they are bad people, but people, not devils, and absolutely unsound of mind.
The Ruders clearly relish their notoriety, and there are now websites celebrating the couple. But until the killing, there was nothing particularly extraordinary about either of them. Manuela became a goth at 15.
Lebenslustig, viel Spaß in den Backen gehabt.
She was full of the joys of life. Everybody liked her. She was always there when you needed help. She was a real friend in good times and in bad.
Die mit einem durch dick und dünn ging.
She dropped out of school and travelled to London, where she became a regular on the goth scene. She says it was here she fell in with a group who claimed to worship Satan. We drank blood together. I slept on gravestones and even allowed myself to be buried to test the feeling, she said. She had not yet met Daniel Ruder, but by chance he also visited London at this time, and he too claims to have been experimenting with the occult. Goths certainly do flirt with dark imagery. Pentagrams and inverted crosses are commonplace, but true Satanists are almost unheard of. Mick Smith has been a goth for 20 years.
There are maybe quite a few people that operate on a superficial level.
With the satanic imagery and the blood drinking?
Yeah, with satanic imagery. They're just as titillated, they're just as kind of superficially excited by the whole thing. But the reason they do it, it's out of a kind of an attempt to be rebellious, an attempt to be different, and an attempt to be alternative.
When Daniel returned from London, he placed a Lonely Hearts ad in a heavy metal magazine. It read, "Black-haired vampire seeks princess of darkness who despises everything and everybody and has bidden farewell to life." Manuela says she knew within moments of meeting Daniel that she'd met the love of her life. They married on the 6th of the 6th last year. 5 weeks later, they killed Frank. Daniel Ruder is undoubtedly an imposing figure.
He says, I really don't know if just in this minute Satan tells me something to do and then I have to do it. And I frightened that situation.
But in conversations with his lawyer, Daniel Ruder revealed other motives for the crime.
I think he pretends to be an instrument of Satan because he's a person who wants to stand in the middle, who says, I am the best, I am the greatest, and I have nothing to do with anyone else. And he says, I want to come on stage, I want that everybody knows me, I want to be as famous as Charles Manson. And so I have to kill someone.
The Ruders decorated their flat with mass-produced posters and satanic ornaments. But the claim that they are therefore Satanists, so greedily taken up by the media, has, some say, turned the trial into a grotesque charade.
I was told that the defendants behaved quite normally outside the court. This strong makeup, cruel haircuts, showing these signs of the devil with their fingers and making faces. All of this has been brought up and supported by all this massive media presence.
The police say this case is not evidence of a growing problem with Satanism.
The case of Ruda is an absolutely exception. Normally we have no problems with this satanic scene here in Germany, especially here in this Ruhr River area.
Yet the claim of demonic possession has arguably worked in their favour. They've been diagnosed as suffering from a mental illness and therefore cannot be held wholly liable for their actions. Tomorrow, Daniel and Manuela Ruda are expected to be sentenced to an indefinite term in a secure mental hospital. They could be released in as little as 5 years.
When we come back, Lennox Lewis weighs up the odds over his play.